Hey, what's going on, everybody? This video is just going to be a general overview of the power structure. I put an agenda. It's going to lightly touch on the agenda, but it's going to focus on more of the power structure of the Illuminati and the global government. So I made a graphic that I'm going to show here in a few seconds, and it's basically going to help people that are new to the conspiracy theory. I guess it's not really a conspiracy theory. I think it's probably more plausible than what I've seen going on in Washington. But in any case, it's going to show, like, if somebody had a question, well, what's FEMA's role in this whole thing, or how does the UN play a role in this whole thing, or what is the Illuminati, or what is the New World Order? I'm going to get into that. I'm going to throw that graphic up on the screen right now. Alright, I made this graphic, and it might look confusing to some people, but I'll try to break it down for you as best as I can. Now, this is information that I've taken from four main sources. There's Alex Jones. I've watched a lot of his documentaries, and I've read one of his books. It was okay. I think he's a bit of a fearmonger, but I still think he makes good points. David Icke, he believes in aliens, and he kind of falls in the same category of an Alex Jones. He's kind of like a lot of show, but a lot of the things that he says are plausible. Mark Kornicki. Now, he's probably one of the better ones. He's more of a militia guy, and obviously by the name, I'm strong in the militia, and I believe that every state should have a well-armed militia. And the last guy is Bill Cooper, and he's probably my favorite. He was actually killed in 2001 by a group of police officers. So I kind of took all their ideas and kind of condensed it down into this one picture of how basically everything sets up. So the big buzzword that everybody uses is NWO, or New World Order. And Bill Cooper defines the New World Order as a one-world totalitarian socialist government and economic system. Basically, a few select people have everything, and we're left with the scraps. Okay, the Bilderberg Group. They're just a single group that makes up the grand scheme of the Illuminati. They're the most important group, however. They comprise of 39 individuals who sit year-round on the committee, 13 members of the Freemason, 13 of the Vatican, and 13 of the Black Nobility. Whenever the annual Bilderberg conference is held, they decide who will go and what will be discussed. Below them, you have the ancillary groups that are involved with the Illuminati and the New World Order, but they're not maybe as important. These are the people that the Bilderberg selects from. And keep in mind that a lot of people like Henry Kissinger and Alan Greenspan, they're a part of multiple groups. Just because you're part of one group doesn't mean you can't be a part of others. So a lot of times you see the same names coming up over and over and over again. And in the ancillary groups, you have like the Knights Templar, the Knights of Columbus, the Jesuits, other Freemasons, the Trilateral Commission, and the Council on Foreign Relations. And the best way I could describe to the audience would be, if it was the New Orleans Saints, the Bilderberg group would be the Drew Brees, and the ancillary groups would make up the other players on the field. Obviously, the Bilderberg group would be the most important. The most important part of this graphic, however, is the confidentiality roadblock. And this is where people either become part of the Illuminati or they unknowingly are left out of the Illuminati. For instance, I talked a little bit about Scott Brown. Scott Brown was a newly elected senator to Massachusetts. So is he in the Illuminati since he was in the state Senate and now he's just arriving to have a Senate seat? Chances are probably no. But in the near future, Scott Brown will be tested, guaranteed. He will be tested, unbeknownst to him, by some Illuminati faction or somebody, and they'll either deem that yes, we can trust Scott Brown, or no, we can't. If they can trust Scott Brown, then obviously Scott Brown will pass through the confidentiality roadblock and become part of the Illuminati. Not one of the higher members, but he'll play his part. If he's not, then Scott Brown will never know the Illuminati exists, and he would just go through the rest of his terms ignorant and anybody that brings it up to him will just think it's a bunch of hocus pocus because he's never seen the Illuminati for himself. And this goes for media figures. And say if you have a friend or a relative that's in the Freemasons, you say, well, are they part of the Illuminati? Chances are no, because they're not high enough up in the organization, and they might have gotten to that confidentiality roadblock and been denied, unbeknownst to them. Bill Cooper had a great example in Behold a Pale Horse, which I suggest everybody read or listen to on YouTube. And one of the examples he gave was the Illuminati will ask you to spit on a cross. And if you don't do it, they're like, oh, great job, you didn't spit on the cross, you didn't disrespect God. In fact, they want you to spit on the cross, because the Illuminati doesn't believe in a God. They believe that knowledge is God. And obviously the Illuminati uses religion to control the masses. So if you did spit on the cross, they would welcome you aboard. They would now deem, oh, we can trust Steve because he spat on the cross, so he's one of us. Now the final part of the Illuminati that I want to talk about is where the UN, law enforcement, military, and FEMA will fit into this. And they're basically going to be the Illuminati's henchmen. Now, again, like with the Freemasons, we all know somebody that's either in law enforcement or military. And the best, example I could give of this was, say if your husband or your wife was in the Miami Police Department and they said to them, all right, I want you to take away all the guns from the people of Miami because I just don't think they should have guns. And obviously this would be an order directed to them by the Illuminati through the commissioner. Now if your loved one or relative participated in this, then they would be essentially part of the Illuminati indirectly because they are carrying out their orders. They didn't stand up to it and say, well, why are we taking away these guns? Or, I'm not going to do that. Then they're no better than the Illuminati themselves. That's going to be the breaking point. Now, chances are that your husband or wife is not in the Illuminati because they're not high enough in it. But these are the ways that they'll use them for their purposes, to serve their purposes. And by the time people realize what has happened, it may be too late. That's why it's great to bring people into the fold and be aware of it. Even if people don't believe in the Illuminati, even if you're thinking, well, it's still kind of far-fetched, at least you're aware of it now. And if you see stuff like this happening, you'll be more prone to do something about it. The same thing goes for military. If the military is told to guard a certain base and don't let people in because maybe that base has supplies, food or water or something, and they're told to engage someone that comes within so-and-so distance, if they shoot on them, then they are indirectly an extension of the Illuminati, whether they want to be or not. And to be quite frank with you, we don't need those type of people, those weak-minded individuals on our team anyway. So that's basically my overview of the agenda and power structure. I didn't get too much into the agenda because the agenda is pretty clear, I think. They just want to rule everything. I wanted to show you the power structure and where each entity kind of fits in. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them, and I'll see you in part 3. Thanks.